So, what does it take to free an entire nation, especially when their oppressor isn't just a king, but sees himself as a god? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful stories of liberation ever told. You know the one. It's a high stakes showdown packed with divine power, incredible human stubbornness, and a series of miracles that literally changed the world. We're going to break down the story of the Exodus.
And that's the real dilemma, isn't it? We're not just talking about some political rebellion here. See, Pharaoh's power wasn't just political. It was seen as divine. So how in the world do you fight a god king? Well, the book of Exodus gives us a kind of playbook. And you might be surprised to hear it doesn't start with an army. Nope. It starts with a direct challenge to that divine authority. So, this whole epic conflict, it doesn't kick off with the big stuff like plagues or parting seas. Not at all. It actually begins with a pretty quiet, but incredibly audacious challenge right in the heart of Pharaoh's own court. Think of it like a divine chess match. And this first move, it's all about establishing who really holds the power. Yeah, so way before any rivers turn to blood or the sky starts raining fire, there's this test. A showdown, really. You've got Moses and Aaron walking right into the lion's den to confront Pharaoh. And the very first miracle, it isn't about punishment. It's about a pure demonstration of authority, aimed squarely at the source of Pharaoh's spiritual power, his own court magicians. Okay, so this is the critical moment. Aaron throws down his staff, and poof, it becomes a serpent. Pharaoh's magicians, they're pretty confident in their own abilities, and they manage to do the same thing. But then, Aaron's serpent just devours theirs. Whoa. This is so much more than a magic trick. It's a symbolic takedown. The message couldn't be clearer. Your power is just an illusion compared to this. It is a complete and total assertion of dominance. But even after that absolutely stunning demonstration, does Pharaoh yield? Nope, he doubles down. And the source material is really clear about this. That single act of defiance becomes the trigger for a massive escalation. That quiet challenge that happened in the court, it's about to become a full-blown assault on the entire nation. And that, of course, brings us to probably the most famous part of the story, the 10 plagues. But listen, these aren't just random disasters, not at all. The way they're presented, it's like a systematic, targeted takedown of Egypt's entire power structure. Every plague seems designed to attack the very gods and natural forces that Pharaoh claimed to have control over. I mean, you can really see the methodical escalation. It starts right at the heart of Egypt, the Nile River. This isn't just a river, it's their source of life, a deity itself, and it's turned to blood. Then the attack moves from the water to the land with frogs. Then from the dust of the earth itself with gnats. And finally from the sky with that storm of hail and fire. Each plague just systematically attacks another piece of their world, basically demonstrating that nothing, and I mean nothing, is beyond this divine power's reach. It's a total deconstruction of their reality. So just to be clear, this wasn't random chaos at all. It was a targeted campaign. Every single plague was a powerful statement, a demonstration of absolute authority over the very domains their gods were supposed to rule: the water, the land, the sky. You could almost call it a theological and ecological conquest. Okay, but even after 10 devastating plagues, you'd think that would be it, right? Nope. Pharaoh makes one last fateful decision. He decides to pursue the now freed Israelites, cornering them and setting the stage for the story's ultimate climax, a final, seemingly impossible confrontation right at the edge of the Red Sea. I mean, just picture the scene for a second. Freedom is right there, almost in their grasp. But Pharaoh has changed his mind. You've got his powerful army closing in fast from behind, and in front of them, the impassable Red Sea. There is literally nowhere to go. They are completely and utterly trapped. This is the ultimate moment of desperation. And then it happens. The defining miracle of this entire story. The waters of the Red Sea part, creating a path of dry ground right down the middle. For a people who had absolutely no way out, a way is suddenly made. It is just a moment of impossible deliverance. But the second the last Israelite is safely across, the Egyptian army charges right into that same path. And just like that, the walls of water collapse. The source describes their complete and total destruction. In one single moment, it's all over. The pursuit ends. The threat is eliminated. The escape is absolute. But the story doesn't actually end there, at the water's edge. Far from it. The escape, it turns out, is just the beginning of a long, long journey. And the miracles, they continue, but now they start to shift in purpose, moving away from deliverance and toward provision.
So think about it. What happens after liberation? Great, the people are free, but now they're stuck in a barren wilderness. So the nature of the miracles has to change, right? For example, when they're about to die of thirst, Moses is told to strike a rock and water flows out. See the shift? The divine power moves from deliverance to provision. It's not about escaping an enemy anymore. It's about sustaining a people.
Which, of course, brings us to the really big question. What was the point of all this? Was it just a raw display of power for its own sake? Or was there some deeper meaning behind all these dramatic, world-altering events? Well, the source material is actually very clear about the stated purpose. Okay, so the source basically outlines a four-part purpose. First and foremost, yes, it was a raw display of power. It was meant to completely eclipse Pharaoh's authority. But it wasn't just about power. It was also about justice, a direct judgment against the injustice of slavery. And those two things together, they combined to achieve the third goal, the total defeat of an oppressive system. And all of that served one ultimate purpose, to guide a people from bondage into freedom. And all of that leaves us with this final, really challenging question. The source calls all these events divine deliverance. And for the Israelites, it was absolutely a story of freedom. But that freedom came at a tremendous cost to the Egyptians. And it really forces us to think about the complex nature of liberation itself. When does an act of liberation for one group become an act of destruction for another? It's a tough question, and it's a tension that sits right at the very heart of this ancient, powerful story.